In the serene Japanese countryside, surrounded by lush rice fields, Jin made a life-altering decision to leave his job and embrace farming in a quaint town. After tending to some eggplants in his greenhouse, Jin sensed it was time to harvest. As he left the greenhouse and inspected his rice fields, a peculiar sight unfolded. A bird's keen observation drew Jin's attention to an unusual figure in the muddy fields. Expecting a mischievous act of illegal dumping, Jin hurriedly approached the scene, only to be met with astonishment. Instead of a trespasser, he discovered a collapsed female knight adorned in blonde hair and armor. Confused by the unexpected encounter, Jin attempted to wake the injured girl. As she slowly regained consciousness, he was captivated by her fair skin, long golden hair, and emerald eyes, a beauty he had never encountered before. Jin questioned the foreign cosplayer, asking if she understood him, only to be met with suspicion from the disoriented girl. Despite being the landowner, Jin found himself being treated with skepticism. The girl, identified as Seraphim, inquired about her location and the identity of Jin. Frustrated, Jin explained that they were on his property, and he demanded an explanation for her presence. Seraphim, still bewildered, revealed herself as the eldest daughter of the Knight family, serving the kingdom of Puria. Jin, utterly perplexed by the unfamiliar terms, dismissed the situation, advising Seraphim not to trespass on others' property. However, she halted him, seeking the name of the place. Jin, now even more confused, informed her they were in Japan. Seraphim's confusion deepened, as she claimed to be unaware of such a country, leaving Jin questioning her well-being. Further inquiries about her name and origin only added to the perplexity. Seraphim introduced herself as Seraphim from the Knight family serving the kingdom of Puria. Jin, oblivious to such titles, expressed his ignorance, suspecting Seraphim to be a cosplayer immersed in role-playing. Offended by Jin's lack of recognition, Seraphim, attempting to unsheath her sword, realized the toll of sleep deprivation from continuous subjugations. Fainting under the blazing sun, Jin, realizing the danger, had no choice but to intervene. He found himself carrying her to a Japanese house, relieved to offer her shade. Seraphim awoke to an unfamiliar setting, surrounded by nature's sounds. Carried by Jin, she found herself in front of an impressive Japanese house. Seraphim questioned their location, and Jin revealed it was his property. As he urged her to rest, he also pointed out the weightiness of her armor. Observing her effortlessly scaling a wall, Jin marveled at cosplayer's strength. Inside the house, Seraphim marveled at its size, doubting a farmer could own such a place. Despite Jin's reassurance, she was surprised by the advanced amenities, mistaking a water heater for a magical tool. Seraphim's ignorance extended to a shower, leading to a scolding from Jin. Baffled by her reactions, Jin pondered Seraphim's past life. Attempting to teach her basic activities like taking a bath, he was astounded by her genuine lack of knowledge. As Seraphim apologized and expressed gratitude for his help, she requested to be called Sarah, sparking a moment of blushing from Jin. Sarah, now more at ease, explored the unfamiliar environment. Grateful for the clothes and towel provided by Jin, she expressed thanks, leaving Jin to contemplate this unexpected encounter with a foreigner who seemed far from a bad person. As Sarah enjoyed the soothing bath, Jin, a 29-year-old with no prior girlfriend experience, found himself grappling with unfamiliar emotions. Jin carefully chose a tracksuit for Sarah, delivering it along with a towel to the dressing room. However, an unexpected encounter left them both flustered. Sarah emerged from the bath, catching Jin off guard, and a moment of awkwardness ensued. After the initial shock, Sarah assured Jin that it was unintentional, allowing them to move past the incident. As Sarah reappeared in the living room wearing Jin's old clothes, she surprisingly managed to make the unfashionable tracksuit look stylish. Jin, still a bit taken aback, tried not to be too obvious about his observations. They decided to share a meal, with Jin improvising a dish from leftover miso soup, marinated veggies, and eggs. Sarah, unfamiliar with Japanese cuisine, expressed curiosity, and Jin took the opportunity to introduce her to the cultural nuances, like expressing gratitude before meals. During their meal, Jin was captivated by Sarah's beauty, and they shared stories about their lives. Sarah, sharing her origin from the Loria kingdom and recounting a brave encounter with monsters, left Jin both fascinated and perplexed. The conversation turned serious when they realized that Sarah's kingdom wasn't on the world map, raising doubts about the reality of her tales. Sarah, determined to return to her kingdom, abruptly left, leaving Jin bewildered. Despite the oddity of the situation, Jin chose to let go of the uncertainties surrounding Sarah's stories. He went on with his day, tending to his greenhouse and delivering produce to a wholesaler. However, thoughts of Sarah lingered, as moments in his daily activities triggered memories of their encounter. In the evening, Jin planned to unwind with beer, but encountered a surprising obstacle on the road: Sarah. Her blank and then sad expression tugged at Jin's emotions, leaving him curious and concerned about her well-being. The day, filled with unexpected twists, had left Jin more exhausted than usual, prompting him to reflect on the enigma that was Sarah. He inquired about her quest, wondering if she had discovered what she sought. She revealed her inability to locate the kingdom, earning surprised looks from others. Despite noting her unusual attire, which sharply contrasted with her earlier energetic demeanor, saw lingering sadness in Sarah's expression. Recalling her previous story, he pondered the possibility that Sarah might hail from another world. Sarah, seemingly confused, prompted Jay to explain. He shared his skepticism about her fantastical tale, but Sarah insisted on the truthfulness of her words. Her expression filled with sorrow, and Jai began to speculate that she might truly come from another world. He cited her lack of knowledge about the modern world as a compelling reason, despite the incredulity of the idea. Surprisingly, Sarah, though taken aback, chuckled a bit, struggling to believe she had been transported to another realm. She understood that the new place was vastly different from her origin and thanked Jai for trusting her words. An awkward silence followed, broken only when Jai suggested Sarah come to his house since it was getting late. Sarah agreed, and Jai drove them home. Fortunately, the road wasn't bumpy, and the night drive continued, with Sarah gazing at the night sky. Upon reaching home, Sarah calmed down and decided to sleep early. Jai observed her efforts to hide her confusion and admired her resilience. He reflected on how, in her shoes, he might have burst into tears. Later, Ren tried to bring hot water for Sarah, but found her quietly crying in a corner. Giving her some space, Jai went to the kitchen, deciding to prepare something tasty for the next day. Remembering how much Sarah enjoyed miso soup, Jai marinated fish with koji, salted soy sauce, and prepared a Japanese-style breakfast. Morning arrived, and Sarah, with messy hair, awoke realizing she'd unintentionally dozed off. Anxiously recollecting the events from the day before, she reminded herself not to dwell on it. Opening the window, she was greeted by a beautiful sight that left her in awe. A delightful aroma reached her, making her stomach growl. Meanwhile, Jai was getting breakfast ready, and Sarah appeared unexpectedly, catching him off guard. It had been a while since someone greeted him in the morning. Jai directed Sarah on where to place the glass he had left near her room. Noticing Sarah's slightly cheerful demeanor, Jai couldn't help but smile. Together, they set the table, and Jai finished up the rice, adding miso soup and chopped green onions as garnish to complete the Japanese-style breakfast. Sarah's eyes widened as she looked at the breakfast, and Jai was happy that his plan had worked to cheer her up. They ate together, and Sarah began with a cherry tomato. She enjoyed the taste and even shared her thoughts. Jai corrected her, stating it was a vegetable, not a fruit, which surprised Sarah. She marveled at how delicious vegetables could be. Next, Sarah tried the fish and found the smell pleasant. She had never tasted such fatty fish before. The rice was also something new to her, and she enjoyed it a lot. Then she had the miso soup, which she found delicious and soothing. Sarah mentioned she had never eaten a fish that didn't have a strong odor before. Jai explained it was salmon, and when Sarah mentioned a fish called a donko from her world, Jai realized it must be unappetizing. Sarah groaned and wore a disgusted look, embarrassed that she couldn't eat salmon cleanly. Jai agreed, mentioning that eating fish with a fork could be challenging for a knight. Feeling ashamed, Sarah handed her plate to Jai, and with his chopsticks, he divided the salmon for her to eat easily. However, Sarah's attention was on Jai's chopsticks. She decided to teach her, starting with the gunfinger hand position, which Sarah found strange. He explained how to hold the chopsticks, and Sarah managed to learn. Although handling the fish proved challenging, he suggested practicing with cucumbers, and Sarah succeeded, although the cucumber didn't make it to her mouth and fell. She burst into laughter, and Sarah began to pout. He reassured her, saying she'd improve with practice. Upon hearing Jai's encouragement, Sarah flinched and glanced outside, realizing he had made a mistake. He apologized, pondering if there was a way for Sarah to return to her original world. Sarah, who had been investigating on her own, speculated that some magical power might have sent her. However, she found no traces of magic in Jai's rice field. She assured Jai not to worry, stating she had already made up her mind to live in his world. Sarah insisted she was skilled in combat and could easily handle tasks like dealing with monsters such as orcs or goblins to make a living. She then explained to Sarah that there were no monsters on Earth, and Japan was one of the safest countries globally. He even mentioned that professions like being a knight didn't exist. Sarah was surprised and concerned about how she would manage to live alone. Despite the unexpected and disheartening news, Sarah decided to search for a job involving hard work or manual labor. Upon hearing this, Jay remembered how Sarah had displayed superhuman abilities the other day. However, he knew that in this world, someone without a family registry might face challenges. Jin grappled with the notion that Sarah might be involved in the clandestine underworld, envisioning her navigating the shadows. His concerns deepened due to her gender, acknowledging the challenges she might face. Despite Jin's attempts to prevent her hasty departure after breakfast, Sarah was determined to establish her own night order, gathering mages and finding a way back to her world. As Sarah departed, Jin, apprehensive about her potential descent into the dark side, had a sudden realization. Proposing an unconventional solution, he urged Sarah to live with him. Caught off guard, Jin clarified that he couldn't offer a lucrative salary, but Sarah, more interested in having a place to stay and food, gladly accepted. The prospect of an extra pair of hands on his farm eased Jin's worries and thus began their cohabitation. In the initial days of Sarah helping on the farm, Jin noticed her unease without her sword. Despite reservations, he allowed her to keep it, cautioning her about Japanese laws regarding blade length. The serene earth contrasted sharply with Sarah's medieval origins, and as they worked in the greenhouse, Jin shared insights into farming. Sarah marveled at the quality of the eggplants, and Jin, inadvertently revealing his passion for farming, hired her officially. During their first farming venture, Sarah, still attached to her sword, accidentally startled Jin. However, as the day progressed, Sarah's curiosity about farming grew. Jin, in turn, discovered Sarah's unique background, finding her addicted to her sword akin to his love for farming. As they harvested eggplants, Sarah, determined to match Jin's speed, inadvertently drew her sword, causing a momentary panic. Apologizing, she observed Jin's efficient work and, in the end, managed to keep up, impressing herself. The day's work completed, Jin suggested a lunch break. Back at the house, Sarah eagerly awaited Jin's cooking skills. They prepared a tomato pasta with eggplant and tuna. Sarah, surprised at Jin's proficiency in the kitchen, inquired about cultural differences. She disclosed that, in her world, men rarely cooked. As they cooked together, Jin taught her the basics and realized she had little experience in the kitchen. Despite initial reservations, Jin recognized Sarah's sincere desire to learn. The cooking lesson included accidental brushes of their hair, apologies, and Jin's complaints. Sarah, captivated by the aroma, watched as Jin cooked, and they both expressed gratitude before enjoying the meal. Sarah's heart raced as she savored the dish, and the atmosphere between them hinted at a newfound connection. The delectable aroma wafted through the air as Sarah took a bold bite of the piping hot eggplant, relishing its flavors despite the scalding heat. The whole slice disappeared into her mouth, and a satisfied smile adorned her face. Moving on to the pasta, she continued to enjoy the culinary masterpiece. A sip of water accompanied her proclamation of amazement. Jin, chiming in, attributed the delightful harmony of tomato sauce with tuna, receiving Sarah's commendation for the homegrown eggplant. Jin, the cultivator of these exquisite vegetables, paused for a moment. His gratitude welled up in him as he shared his livelihood of cultivating and shipping produce to supermarkets. The lack of direct feedback echoed Sarah's recent praise, prompting Jin to express his thanks. However, Sarah, the eager Epicurean, wasn't done and requested more servings. Meanwhile, in a quaint candy store, an elderly lady disclosed to a bewildered girl named Kay that she heard rumors of Jin marrying someone from another country. Ultimately denied the possibility, but the old lady's insistence deepened the mystery. Simultaneously, a group of female students, just done with their classes, discussed the hearsay. Alice, the youngest among them, inquired about Jin's alleged marriage, instigating intrigue. Katori and Muru, two friends of Alice, firmly dismissed the rumor, asserting its improbability. Katori pondered the appropriateness of visiting Jin's place suddenly, while Muru acknowledged Kori's curiosity but advised caution. Ultimately, the trio decided to offer congratulations, reaching Jin's house only to find it deserted. Calls echoed, but Jin was nowhere to be found, leaving them puzzled. Now, rewinding 2 hours earlier, Sarah embarked on her routine walk for exercise, assuring Jin of her need to familiarize herself with the area in case of monster attacks. Jin, concerned, later ventured out to search for her. An encounter with Minori, Jin's neighbor from his infancy revealed that Sarah was assisting them, shedding light on her prolonged absence. Fast-forwarding to the present, Jin, still bewildered, observed Sarah fixing roof tiles, a skill seemingly acquired from Shigaru. Minori alerted Sarah to Jin's apparent worry, sparking a moment of explanation. Sarah's words evoked different reactions from them, and as Jin approached her, his attention diverted momentarily to the repaired roof tiles. Sarah tried to clarify, and amidst the confusion, Jin contemplated her proficiency in roof fixing, considering her otherworldly origin. Sarah mentioned that Shigaru had taught her, and Jin, surprised by her quick learning, discovered she had received training from military engineers. Curiosity led to a conversation about how they became a couple. Minori, recalling Sarah leaving Jin's house earlier, assumed she was his wife, inadvertently shaping the narrative. Caught off guard, Sarah went along with the narrative, and Jin, while finding it a bit much, saw the practicality given their rural setting. Sarah's fabricated role as Jin's wife resonated well with Minori and Shigaru, proud to witness their little Jin in a supposed romantic alliance. Jin, concerned for Sarah's feelings in this arrangement, sought clarity. Sarah emphasized the necessity of the guys, acknowledging that being an outsider in the countryside required such adaptations. Meanwhile, the couple assisted Shigaru and Minori in fixing roof tiles for an elderly couple. Gratitude was expressed, and Jin advised hiring professionals next time. Despite the advice, there was a sense that Shigaru might seek their help again. In return, snacks were offered, and a break ensued, with Sarah experiencing the unfamiliar delight of yokin and iced green tea. Amidst the shared moments, the elderly couple subtly indicated their matchmaking intentions, treating Jin and Sarah as a charming couple. Jin, going with the flow, played along, affirming Sarah's exceptional qualities. However, the charade began to discomfort Sarah, prompting Jin to realize the unintended consequences. The old couple, impressed, inquired about how they met, leading Jin to hastily conclude the interaction, deciding it was time to head home. In another setting, Kay, checking her phone, chuckled at her brother's excitement over the news of Jin having a wife. Yet, her amusement turned into curiosity about the mysterious wife. Meanwhile, Jin, having completed his harvest, found himself contemplating moving hefty baskets. Surprisingly, Sarah effortlessly offered her help, showcasing a magical prowess that astonished Jin. Gratitude filled the air as Sarah's efficiency exceeded expectations, prompting Jin to acknowledge the extraordinary nature of magic. As the tasks concluded, the gratitude extended, and the day's events unfolded, Jin found himself flustered by the unexpected turn of events. The narrative had evolved into a fabricated tale, with Sarah portraying the role of his wife to seamlessly integrate into the community. Yet amidst the orchestrated charade, genuine moments of connection and shared experiences emerged between Jin and Sarah, transcending the boundaries of their fabricated relationship. The delectable aroma wafted through the air as Sarah took a bold bite of the piping hot eggplant, relishing its flavors despite the scalding heat. The whole slice disappeared into her mouth, and a satisfied smile adorned her face. Moving on to the pasta, she continued to enjoy the culinary masterpiece. A sip of water accompanied her proclamation of amazement. Jin, chiming in, attributed the delightful harmony of tomato sauce with tuna, receiving Sarah's commendation for the homegrown eggplant. Jin, the cultivator of these exquisite vegetables, paused for a moment. Gratitude welled up in him as he shared his livelihood of cultivating and shipping produce to supermarkets. The lack of direct feedback echoed Sarah's recent praise, prompting Jin to express his thanks. However, Sarah, the eager Epicurean, wasn't done and requested more servings. Meanwhile, in a quaint candy store, an elderly lady disclosed to a bewildered girl named Kay that she heard rumors of Jin marrying someone from another country. Kay vehemently denied the possibility, but the old lady's insistence deepened the mystery. Simultaneously, a group of female students, just done with their classes, discussed the hearsay. Alice, the youngest among them, inquired about Jin's alleged marriage, instigating intrigue. Katori and Muru, two friends of Alice, firmly dismissed the rumor, asserting its improbability. Katori pondered the appropriateness of visiting Jin's place suddenly, while Muru acknowledged Kori's curiosity but advised caution. Ultimately, the trio decided to offer congratulations, reaching Jin's house only to find it deserted. Calls echoed, but Jin was nowhere to be found, leaving them puzzled. Now, rewinding 2 hours earlier, Sarah embarked on her routine walk for exercise, assuring Jin of her need to familiarize herself with the area in case of monster attacks. Jin, concerned, later ventured out to search for her. An encounter with Minori, Jin's neighbor from his infancy, revealed that Sarah was assisting them, shedding light on her prolonged absence. Fast-forwarding to the present, Jin, still bewildered, observed Sarah fixing roof tiles, a skill seemingly acquired from Shigaru. Minori alerted Sarah to Jin's apparent worry, sparking a moment of explanation. Sarah's words evoked different reactions from them, and as Jin approached her, his attention diverted momentarily to the repaired roof tiles. Sarah tried to clarify, and amidst the confusion, Jin contemplated her proficiency in roof fixing, considering her otherworldly origin. Sarah mentioned that Shigaru had taught her, and Jin, surprised by her quick learning, discovered she had received training from military engineers. Curiosity led to a conversation about how they became a couple. Minori, recalling Sarah leaving Jin's house earlier, assumed she was his wife, inadvertently shaping the narrative. Ite caught off guard. Sarah went along with the narrative, and Jin, while finding it a bit much, saw the practicality given their rural setting. Sarah's fabricated role as Jin's wife resonated well with Minori and Shigaru, proud to witness their little Jin in a supposed romantic alliance. Jin, concerned for Sarah's feelings in this arrangement, sought clarity. Sarah emphasized the necessity of the guys, acknowledging that being an outsider in the countryside required such adaptations. Meanwhile, the couple assisted Shigaru and Minori in fixing roof tiles for an elderly couple. Gratitude was expressed, and Jin advised hiring professionals next time. Despite the advice, there was a sense that Shigaru might seek their help again. In return, snacks were offered, and a break ensued, with Sarah experiencing the unfamiliar delight of yokin and iced green tea. Amidst the shared moments, the elderly couple subtly indicated their matchmaking intentions, treating Jin and Sarah as a charming couple. Jin, going with the flow, played along, affirming Sarah's exceptional qualities. However, the charade began to discomfort Sarah, prompting Jin to realize the unintended consequences. The old couple, impressed, inquired about how they met, leading Jin to hastily conclude the interaction, deciding it was time to head home. In another setting, Kay, checking her phone, chuckled at her brother's excitement over the news of Jin having a wife. Yet, her amusement turned into curiosity about the mysterious wife. Meanwhile, Jin, having completed his harvest, found himself contemplating moving hefty baskets. Surprisingly, Sarah effortlessly offered her help, showcasing a magical prowess that astonished Jin. Gratitude filled the air as Sarah's efficiency exceeded expectations, prompting Jin to acknowledge the extraordinary nature of magic. As the tasks concluded, the gratitude extended, and the day's events unfolded, Jin found himself flustered by the unexpected turn of events. The narrative had evolved into a fabricated tale, with Sarah portraying the role of his wife to seamlessly integrate into the community. Yet, amidst the orchestrated charade, genuine moments of connection and shared experiences emerged between Jin and Sarah, transcending the boundaries of their fabricated relationship. Ji found himself intrigued by the concept of magic, a power that could only be harnessed through a mysterious organ enhancing physical abilities. However, Sarah, a knowledgeable companion, dismissed the idea for Ji, explaining that he lacked the necessary magical organ and training. Disheartened, Jay had hoped to use magic for growing vegetables. On the other hand, Sarah was relieved that Jay's only intention was for farming. Suddenly, a shout disrupted the quiet moment, and Sarah questioned if it was an enemy attack. To their surprise, a rowdy-looking man, Jai's childhood friend Kaido, appeared. Disappointed to see him, Jai jokingly requested him to at least ring the doorbell next time. Kaido had heard rumors about Jai's supposed wife and, after grabbing Jai's shoulder, expressed disbelief, thinking Jai would be a bachelor for life. Kaido's jaw dropped when he met Sarah, who exuded brightness despite initial rudeness. Sarah and Kaido soon found a connection. Jay's relaxed expression surprised Kaido, who jokingly suggested he should also take up farming. As they conversed, a girl named Kaho called for Kaito, upset about being left alone to manage the shop. Sarah and Kaho introduced themselves, feeling an unspoken connection. Kaito contemplated staying to learn more about Sarah, but Kaho reminded him of his candy store duties. Intrigued by the candy store, Sarah and Sito engaged in conversation. Meanwhile, Kaho pulled Jai aside, claiming to have something important to share. Nervous Jai assumed she was suspicious of Sarah, only to be surprised by Kaho mentioning that Sarah wasn't wearing a bra. Shocked, Jay explained the cultural differences and was relieved when Kaho agreed to go shopping with Sarah. Later, the group returned home, and Jai promised Sarah they would go shopping for clothes. In the bath, Sarah found Jay telling her that Kay had arrived to pick them up, surprising her with his changed outfit. On the way to the shopping mall, Keiho chatted with Sarah, leaving Jai flustered. Arriving at the mall, Sarah marveled at the massive building, mistaking an advertisement figure for the owner. Jay admired Keiho's quick thinking and Sarah's excitement, emphasizing her unfamiliarity with shopping malls. In the bustling mall, the workings of an escalator became a backdrop to a series of events. As Sarah and her companions ascended to the third floor, she couldn't help but notice the attention she was drawing. At first, she attributed it to her ordinary attire compared to other well-dressed women in the mall. However, Keiho, keenly observant, pointed out that it was Sarah's sword that was turning heads. Contemplating a solution, Kei thought about the importance of Sarah's family traditions. The suggestion to shop for trendy clothes emerged, surprising Sarah, who expressed gratitude to Keiho. In this moment, Keiho realized that Sarah spoke like a true samurai, adding a layer of intrigue to her character. The narrative took an unexpected turn as they entered a store filled with women's undergarments. Sarah felt uneasy, but Keiho explained they were there for a purpose, to buy undergarments for her. A store employee taking measurements added to Sarah's nervousness, prompting Jin to wait outside, recognizing that men weren't suited for such stores. As the girls shopped, Jin overheard discussions about sizes and types of undergarments, leading to awkward feelings. The situation became noisier during the measurement process, heightening Jin's discomfort. Despite the awkwardness, the shopping expedition continued, with Sarah expressing excitement about the newfound usefulness of undergarments. Moving on to clothing stores, Jin's concern about expenses grew. Keiho insisted on finding high-quality yet affordable clothes for Sarah. In a luxury store, Sarah tried on a one-piece dress, stunning everyone, including Jin. Despite feeling embarrassed, Sarah expressed concern about looking silly in such clothes. In a teasing yet reassuring manner, Jin complimented her, triggering memories of her night training. The shopping spree continued at a supermarket, where Keiho's thoughtful nature was revealed through her purchase of toiletries for the elderly in their town. Sarah was impressed by Keiho's kindness towards others. As they explored the supermarket, Sarah discovered familiar vegetables from Jin's farm, leading to a delightful encounter with a delighted mother. The day concluded in a food court, with Sarah following Jin's advice to try something different. Confusion ensued as Sarah encountered a McDonald's employee, adding a humorous touch to the day's events. Overall, the narrative weaves through various emotions and situations, providing a glimpse into the characters' personalities and the dynamics of their relationships. In the realm of bread varieties, she sought Jin's assistance, only to find his determination to let her navigate the otherworldly experience independently. Bereft of clear instructions, Sarah was engulfed by a wave of anxiety. However, she masked it with a nod, projecting an illusion of having everything under control. Turning to the employee for guidance, she sought a suggestion for a delightful choice. The employee recommended the teriyaki burger, and relief flickered in Sarah's eyes as she placed her order. Grateful to move past the earlier stress, a new challenge emerged when the employee suggested turning it into a meal set and upgrading the drink. Sarah found herself at a loss for words, stumbling through the interaction, leaving Jin to notice the rough patch. 5 minutes later, Sarah received her order, discovering the existence of meal sets. Keiho, already done with her meal, called the couple over, revealing a big bowl of tempura shrimp. Jin placed the chilled udon he ordered on the table, prepared the sauce, and began to eat with audible slurping. Sarah, intrigued by his eating manners, received reassurance from Keiho that it was normal. Suddenly, Jin realized Sarah hadn't tried udon noodles before. Keiho suggested sharing some, making Sarah a bit flustered at the thought of using the same chopsticks Jin had just used. Jin quickly apologized when he grasped the situation. Playfully, Keiho questioned why they were concerned about an indirect kiss when they were already married. Despite the embarrassment Sarah endured, convincing herself it didn't count as a real, Jin checked if she was sure, and Sarah blushed. Despite the awkward moment, she could barely taste the food afterward. The following day, Sarah woke up to Jin calling her name, revealing they had done something that left her curious and flustered. Jin explained they shared a direct kiss, leading to an argument about doing it to avoid Keiho's suspicions. Jin insisted on doing it properly and brought out udon noodles, abruptly waking her up from the dream. Suddenly, Jin rushed in, asking what happened. Sarah questioned if he brought udon noodles, and confused, Jin reminded her about going to Keiho's place. Grateful for Keiho's help, Sarah quickly got ready, leaving Jin puzzled about why she mentioned udon noodles so early in the morning. Shortly after, Sarah emerged wearing her new casual clothes, carrying her sword as always. Jin, surprised by her beauty once more, assured her that she looked normal. The two walked to Kay's house, with Sarah appreciating the morning views while Jin thought about farm tasks. Suddenly, Sarah noticed something in the nearby trees, and her warning made Jin, at the age of 29, find himself carried through the air by a female knight. Confused, Jin wondered why Sarah was alarmed. The female knight drew her sword as something approached, but it turned out to be just a green frog that Sarah called Gru. Despite Jin insisting there were no monsters, Sarah thought it was one. Playfully tapping her head, Jin explained that it was just a normal frog, a common animal. Sarah, surprised, believed it was a monster, but Jin pointed out they were on a sidewalk. Curious, Jin wondered how Granny looked in Sarah's world. She explained that frog monsters there could grow up to 5 meters, capable of swallowing humans and livestock. She mentioned a mission where she messed up with giant Granny. Sensing Sarah's tension, Jin reassured her that Earth's frogs were harmless and advised her to conceal her powers. A frog nearby croaked, startling Sarah, who suggested moving forward. Mischievous Jin decided to poke the frog, causing it to jump and Sarah to freak out. Her knees gave out as the frogs approached, and Jin laughed, wondering how she would handle working in the paddies. In response, Sarah pulled out her sword, offering to demonstrate how she dealt with frog monsters in her home world. Realizing he had made a mistake, Jin started running away. The couple reached the sweet store door, and the Oba siblings warmly greeted them. Thrilled to see Keiho, Sarah noticed the closeness between the two when Keiho hugged her. Keiho expressed that her stress was melting away, treating Sarah like a pet. Happy to see Sarah in the new clothes, Keiho envied how she could make a simple outfit look stylish. Surprised that Sarah had come over just to thank her, Keiho emphasized the importance of expressing gratitude, which Sarah agreed with. Kaido invited them inside, introducing his store. Jin mentioned they had come to thank Keiho, but Sarah became interested in the store. Inside, Sarah marveled at the variety of sweets, and Kaido mentioned that the store's sweets used to cost only 10 yen. Jin explained by comparing it to the hamburger she had bought the other day. Sarah was surprised that the sweets were inexpensive, and Kaido mentioned it was mostly because their customers were children. Kaito shared the story of their sweets hunting adventure, mentioning that Jin liked the Yumo with regional and seasonal exclusive flavors. Intrigued, Jin suggested Sarah try one, shocking everyone. Jin pulled out a 10,000 yen bill, and Sarah wondered if she could spend it all on sweets. Jin reminded her not to and clarified that it was her pay, telling her to use it however she wanted when he wasn't around. Was amazed to receive her first paycheck. Sarah promptly used it to buy a new amiibo. Kaido suggested buying something, and Jin smiled as he reminisced about his childhood with Kaido, deciding to buy something as well. Shortly after, Sarah gazed at the goodies she acquired from the candy store, feeling fortunate. Jin wondered which treat Sarah would sample first, and she selected the sour gumball that Kido had recommended. Jin speculated whether they might play a game, and Kido suggested it. Unfamiliar with the game, Sarah listened as K2 explained the rules, involving guessing who got the sour candy. Maintaining a poker face, even if you got the sour candy, was crucial for winning. The trio then popped a gumball into their mouths, and while Jin and Kaio seemed unaffected, Sarah clearly displayed signs of having chosen the sour gumball. Despite her best efforts, the boys easily identified her as the one with the sour candy. Sarah was taken aback, realizing she wasn't good at the game. At that moment, the trio of girls, Muru, Katori, and Alice, discovered them. They were astonished to find the rumored couple, bombarding them with questions. In the midst of their attempt to head home, Jin sensed trouble on the horizon. Anticipating a swift exit, he informed Sarah about the need to leave. However, the girls they encountered had other plans. Their curiosity about Jin's wife prompted a barrage of questions, making it challenging for the couple to make a clean getaway. Undeterred, Katori and Kaio persisted, fueled by their eagerness to meet Jin's elusive wife. Jin, growing increasingly annoyed by the situation, decided to take matters into his own hands. He pulled out a 500 yen coin, surprising the kids. To everyone's amazement, he handed them the coin, instructing them to use it to buy candies. With the distraction in place, Jin and Sarah finally managed to break free from the inquisitive duo. Relieved, Jin noted that the kids were easily swayed by a simple bribe. Kaio, expressing gratitude for Jin's ongoing support at his store, presented him with a bottle of Ramune. Jin accepted the gesture, but Kaio made it clear that Jin would foot the bill while Sarah enjoyed her drink for free. Sarah, holding the Ramune bottle aloft, marveled at its contents. Jin took the opportunity to explain the intricacies of the Japanese carbonated beverage, demonstrating how to open it by popping in the marble. Sarah, intrigued, mimicked the action, finding it fascinating. As the trio enjoyed their immune, Sarah, unfamiliar with carbonated drinks, experienced discomfort. Jin reassured her that she would get used to it, attributing her reaction to her first encounter with fizzy beverages. Sarah, enlightened by the explanation, took another tentative sip, but the fizzy sensation continued to challenge her taste buds. Meanwhile, the girls emerged from the store and extended an invitation to Sarah to join them. Jin, seizing the chance for Sarah to socialize, allowed her to accompany the girls. While they chatted about sweets, Jin found a bench to sit on, observing the scene unfold. The girls, comparing their sweets with Sarah's, introduced themselves to her, and Jin felt a sense of satisfaction seeing Sarah engaging with others. Leaving Sarah in the company of the girls, Jin reflected on the past. Kaito remarked on the nostalgic atmosphere, evoking memories of their days buying sweets with a limited allowance. These reminiscences led Kaito to establish his candy store, a decision that Jin now understood, despite the financial challenges. Kaito, engaged in various side hustles, earned Jin's admiration for his resilience. Kaito, in turn, noted a change in Jin, recalling his previous antisocial demeanor. Later, Sarah approached Jin with excitement, having won a free gumball after opening a package. Jin, smiling, pondered on who or what had changed him. The scene shifted to a specific day when Jin, Sarah, Kaito, and others ventured to gather bamboo. Shiru's instructions guided them, with Kaito, an experienced bamboo cutter, taking charge. Jin assigned Sarah a different task, questioning whether the bamboo could be used for making noodles. In a flashback, Jin found himself overwhelmed by a surplus of summon noodles, a midsummer gift tradition. Sito appeared with even more noodles, emphasizing the extension of their eternal relationship. In the present, with Shiru's permission, Jin successfully cut down a bamboo to support Kaito's idea. Sarah, curious, expressed her desire to cut down the remaining bamboos, surprising Jin. Sarah confidently claimed she could cut faster than their tools, and Jin, with skepticism, allowed her to take a shot. Unsheathing her sword, Sarah's focused expression impressed Jin as she swiftly brought down multiple bamboos. He noticed the clean cuts compared to using a saw. Acknowledging Sarah's impressive skills, Jin realized her efficiency was a result of her daily routine. Kaito, drawn by the loud thuds, marveled at their progress, proposing to take everything back. Sarah, undeterred, volunteered to carry the bamboo to the car, effortlessly handling the task. Jin, advising Kaito not to overthink things, observed the trio, successfully completing their bamboo gathering mission. Having arrived at Minori and Shiru's place, Shigaru expressed gratitude and suggested preparing the renowned flowing noodles. Kaito eagerly brought out an array of tools, surprising Sarah as they didn't resemble typical cooking utensils. A subtle tension emanated between Jin and Kaito, leaving Sarah concerned, unsure if she could keep up. The prospect of making flowing noodles had her on edge, wondering if it was a prelude to some unexpected challenge or fight. As the bamboo working commenced, Sarah sat there, perplexed, while Minori wondered if the guys were just teasing her. Sarah, seeking clarity, inquired about the mysterious flowing noodles, prompting Minori to ask her to wait and see. Jin and Kaito worked on transforming bamboo into a unique apparatus, leaving Sarah fascinated and a bit anxious. Minori reassured Sarah that Jin and Kaito were merely eager to prepare the noodles for her. Feeling a bit flustered, Sarah offered her assistance, and Minori suggested she help with boiling the noodles later on. Eventually, the duo completed the noodle-making apparatus, leaving Sarah impressed with the bamboo's transformation. Minori mentioned that the condiments were ready, and Kaio's hunger was palpable. Jai handed Sarah her dipping sauce, explaining the unique method of using bamboo slides for the noodles to flow down. Excitement built as Jin placed some noodles on a bamboo slide, instructing Sarah to catch them with chopsticks. Despite several attempts, Sarah struggled to master the art. Minori suggested teaching her, and with Jin's guidance, Sarah eventually succeeded, delighting in the taste and experience. Grateful for the lesson, she thanked Jin, who, despite his usual stoicism, seemed pleased with her progress. The trio turned the noodle eating into a friendly competition, showcasing their newfound skills. Afterward, they shifted to harvesting tomatoes. Jin instructed Sarah to pick them by hand and trim overgrown stems. Sarah joyfully embraced the task, surprising Jin with her enthusiasm. As she picked, Sarah discovered a green tomato, prompting a moment of concern. Jin reassured her about the ripening process, turning it into a valuable lesson about timing and the current hot season. Sarah continued picking tomatoes, envisioning them neatly lined up in the market. Her excitement reached a peak when she found a ripe, red tomato. Jin suggested not selling it, either placing it in the honesty box or enjoying it themselves. Despite her eagerness, Jin reminded her to finish the task first. After completing the harvest, Sarah handed Jin a ripe tomato and they took a break under a tree, enjoying the cool breeze. The couple savored the freshly picked tomatoes, with Sarah expressing her delight in their exceptional taste. Jin explained the rarity of such opportunities in the countryside, deepening Sarah's appreciation for the experience. As they finished their tomatoes, Sarah expressed a craving for more, leading to a playful banter with Jin, who had already eaten 4. Sarah argued that it was better than leaving them on the vines, prompting a smile from Jin, who acknowledged the importance of not harming the plants. Despite his initial reluctance, Jin agreed, promising to do better next year. Sarah smiled, grateful for farmers like Jin who made such moments possible. Sarah, initially dismissing vegetables as trivial, underwent a transformative experience at Jin's place. Witnessing the sheer joy on people's faces as they savored Jin's vegetables, her perspective underwent a profound shift. Jin, though accustomed to Sarah's cheerful demeanor, found himself wearing a somber expression after her heartfelt words touched him. Breaking the ensuing silence, Sarah eagerly anticipated the debut of their tomato kids in the supermarket. As the time for tomato delivery approached, Sarah was curious about the agricultural co-op. Jin explained it as a hub where small farmers could sell crops, borrow tools, and share information. Drawing a parallel, Sarah likened it to an adventurer's guild, wondering if she needed to greet a guildmaster. Jin clarified that there was no such figure, and the tomato delivery proceeded smoothly. On the journey back, Jin decided to make a stop at a nearby supermarket. As Sarah explored the surroundings, unsure of what to buy, she sought Jin's suggestions, reminding her of the ripe tomatoes. Jin chuckled, and Sarah, unfamiliar with Earth's food, left the choice to him, a predicament many boyfriends find challenging. Sarah bashfully admitted that anything he cooked was delicious. Apologizing for the assumption about the viewers, Sarah questioned if it was challenging for Jin to decide what to make. Jin explained the difficulty lay in deciding, and Sarah recalled her mother mentioning something similar in her home world. Feeling uneasy about making demands, Jin assured her that the one preparing the food simply wanted to hear it tasted good. Enlightened once again, Sarah pondered what to eat. Jin, shopping in a practical way, asked for her preferences. Sarah wondered if tomatoes could be turned into soup and expressed a desire for cheese. Embracing her specific choices, Jin decided on chicken tomato soup and stuffed tomatoes, promising her to look forward to it. Swiftly purchasing the essentials for dinner, Jin noticed Sarah stuck on something: various types of chocolates. Despite Jin suggesting she pick 1 or 2, Sarah opted for all of them, feeling disappointed when Jin insisted on a practical approach. Spotting discounted eggs, Sarah's cheerful demeanor brought a smile to Jin's face again. Suddenly, a couple of women recognized them, recalling shopping with their husbands during their early days as newlyweds. Politely excusing themselves, they avoided disturbing the couple on their honeymoon. Back at home, Sarah happily cleaned the tomatoes for cooking, eager to enjoy a meal with a tomato base. However, Jin surprised her by requesting her to crush them, catching Sarah off guard. Initially upset, Jin suggested chopping instead. Unbeknownst to them, Kaito and Keiho, childhood friends, observed the couple affectionately crossing the road, already anticipating the spread of strange rumors. At home, Sarah, committed to her role as Jin's wife, expressed her willingness to get used to such things. Concerned that he might give in, Jin, unaware of their audience, was taken aback by her dedication. In the realm of diced tomatoes and microwave hums, Sarah confidently took charge, demonstrating her knife skills. Jin observed her navigating the kitchen tools, noticing her learning curve with the kitchen knife. In parallel, Jai took on the task of microwaving the tomatoes. As the tomato mashing moment arrived, Sarah, with a touch of kitchen grace, crushed the tomatoes, promising enhanced flavors later. The crushed tomatoes found their place in the stir-fried chicken and onions, while Ji pondered on the remaining ingredients. Amidst the culinary symphony, Sarah surprised Jay by seamlessly handing him the salt, almost as if she possessed a culinary clairvoyance. However, she clarified that her intuition was merely a result of keen observation during many of Jay's cooking sessions. Jin, in awe, assigned her the duty of tending to the tomato stew, resembling a domestic scene of a wife cooking for her husband. As they ventured into crafting the farsi, Jay enlisted Sarah's help in kneading the stuffing. To his surprise, Sarah not only undertook the task with concern but found joy in the process. Jin, contemplating the fun of cooking, acknowledged that perhaps it had always been this enjoyable. The dining table, adorned with a variety of dishes, from chicken to tomato stew and tomato farsi, showcased their culinary prowess. Sarah, intrigued by the use of tomatoes as plates, eagerly anticipated the melting cheese. Georgie, equally enthusiastic, added stir-fried tomatoes and eggs to the array. Yet Sarah's eyes gleamed the most for the main dish, bread. As they sat down to eat, Jai realized they had prepared an abundance of food, a testament to the joy they found in cooking together. Sarah, confident in their ability to finish it all, dove into the feast. Ji, however, expressed concern about the surplus, prompting a moment of gratitude for the abundance of food. Sarah relished each bite, determined to savor every flavor, while Jai, appreciating her enthusiasm, advised moderation. The following morning, a new day dawned with Sarah adorned in hair clips from KA. A surprise awaited her in the form of a digital weighing scale, sparking Sarah's curiosity. Jay, munching on pickled vegetables, explained its purpose, inviting Sarah to step on it. As the numbers displayed her weight, panic ensued, followed by a playful scolding from Sarah. Jai defended the scale as a health monitoring tool, prompting a realization from Sarah about her weight gain. The atmosphere turned awkward, with blame playfully assigned to Minori and Kaito for the delectable treats. Jai, acknowledging their collective contribution to Sarah's happiness, suggested moderation. Sarah, torn between the joy of delicious food and the desire to lose weight, shed tears at the thought of altering her culinary indulgences. The tale unfolded as a harmonious blend of kitchen adventures, shared meals, and a touch of playful banter between the aspiring culinary duo. In relinquishing the pleasures of delectable treats, Jin proposed exercise to Sarah. However, Sarah jumped to the assumption that it would involve sword training, a notion that Jin promptly dismissed due to legal and privacy concerns. Undeterred, Jin recalled a private property he owned in the mountains, offering Sarah a space to freely wield her sword. After a drive, they reached the mountain, and Sarah, clad in armor, eagerly discovered a vast training ground. Despite her uncertainty about the ownership, Sarah was ready to make the most of it. She pondered whether Jin was once an aristocrat due to owning a mountain, but Jin brushed it off, asserting it was common for people to own land. To her surprise, Jin claimed the general area was all his, assuring no issues with Sarah practicing her sword skills. Excitement filled Sarah as she held her sword, and Jin encouraged her, playfully comparing her to an eager dog awaiting its master's orders. Jin questioned the necessity of armor, but Sarah argued it enhanced her training. As she unsheathed her sword, her demeanor shifted, revealing another side to her expressions since arriving on Earth. Despite feeling self-conscious under Jin's gaze, Sarah found comfort in wielding her sword. Jin apologized for staring and offered to leave, but Sarah insisted he stay, admitting she was just a bit shy in her night mode. Jin decided to stay, and as Sarah practiced, he marveled at her skill and dedication, realizing her entire life was contained in that sword. Encouraging her until she was satisfied, Sarah thanked Jin for the chance to swing her sword. Later, as Sarah woke up Jin, she expressed gratitude for the opportunity. Back in the car, Sarah, now wearing a transparent shirt, apologized for taking too long. Jin, unsure where to look, suggested she wear the jersey they brought, but Sarah insisted on not wanting a hot jersey. When she realized her shirt was see-through, her flustered side emerged, breaking the dignified image she had moments ago. Returning home, Jin prepared dinner, aiming to finish before Sarah finished her bath. Feeling sad for not helping, Sarah went for a bath and Jin realized the loneliness of cooking without her. He, being an antisocial person, felt a strange sense of liberation, cooking alone after a long time. Acknowledging how accustomed he had become to her presence, he shook off the feeling and continued cooking. Noticing the absence of salt, Jin called for Sarah, but she was nowhere to be found. Feeling embarrassed, he realized he had taken her for granted. Suddenly, Sarah appeared after her bath, and Jin, with his usual stone face, informed her that everything was done. Together, they brought the food to the table, and Sarah was pleasantly surprised to find a fried tomato salad layered with cheese. Jin explained the dish, and Sarah, admitting she was hungry, joined him for the meal. After indulging in a refreshing bath, Jin offered to set the table, vowing not to shatter any plates this time. Jin chuckled as he recounted the incident, and the aroma of the served food filled the air. Sarah's eyes widened with surprise when she discovered an Italian-style cold noodle dish awaiting her. Initially, Sarah mistook it for summon, but Jin clarified that it was different, thicker, and with a distinct quality. Jin explained that summon noodles were thinner, but of higher quality, recalling how he and Kaio didn't treat them as precious despite their cost. Forget about it, Jin told Sarah, and they proceeded with their dinner. Sarah took a bite of the pasta, worked up a sweat, and then enjoyed a relaxing bath. The delicious food left her thoroughly satisfied, and she couldn't help but be delighted with Jin's culinary skills. A smile graced Jin's face as he noticed Sarah improving her cho stick skills. When she asked for seconds, Jin jokingly reminded her about her weight, leading to a moment of tears and eventual sadness. To console her, Jin suggested she stick to just eating the fried tomato salad. Seeing Sarah's despondency, Jin stood up and claimed that something was missing. He proposed boiling noodles again from scratch. Sarah happily joined Jin in the kitchen, and a few days later, she had gained some weight. While Jin worked on the farm, pulling out weeds and checking on Sarah in this unfamiliar world, he overheard some chattering outside. 3 familiar girls were attempting to surprise him, but Jin had already spotted them. Muru complained about Jin's knack for appearing out of nowhere, finding it amusing given the Miku's tendency to do the same. The girls insisted on hanging out, but Jin, relieved by CTOR's intervention, suggested they go home. The girls protested, prompting CTOR to assert that they were disrupting Jin's work. Katori, the eldest, felt a pang of insecurity about her size when compared to Jin. Alice blamed Jin for his lack of delicacy, and Muru complained that he didn't bother to learn their names. Suddenly, Sarah emerged due to the commotion, recalling the names of the 3 girls. The girls were amazed and concluded that Jin wasn't worthy of Sarah. Confused, Sarah asked Jin what happened, and he confessed that he didn't know the girls' names. Surprised, Sarah argued that it was normal to remember names, unlike someone as social like Jin. The girls were shocked, having known Jin since childhood. Jin admitted he only waved at them, never bothering to learn their names. Katori, already feeling insecure about her size, went into shock again, and Muru and Alice continued protesting to Jin. Sarah, sensing the tension, intervened, recalling the girls' names from their earlier encounter at the candy store. Jin, however, insisted on referring to them by their family names. Muru invited Sarah to play, but she declined, still engrossed in her work. Muru cried, and Jin tried to persuade Sarah to leave, but she refused. To remedy the situation, Jin decided to weed the garden himself. As he worked, Muru offered to help to finish the task faster. Eventually, Sarah agreed to hang out with him. Jin smiled and asked the girls for their assistance. Sarah, initially hesitant, questioned if it was okay, and Jin reassured her, telling the girls to do their best. In no time, they finished weeding, and the greenhouse became spotless. Sarah expressed her gratitude to the girls, and Jin simply smiled. Later, as Sarah thanked Jin for letting her hang out with the girls, she asked for more work. Jin reassured her, emphasizing the importance of making friends, leaving Sarah touched by his caring words. In the playful banter, the girls teasingly accused Jin of only being nice to his wife. Puzzled, Jin began questioning the girls about their plans in the countryside. Muru reminded him that they were in a remote area with not much to do. Katori, seeking to make the most of the situation, invited Sarah to join them in exploring some favorite local spots. Excited about discovering new places, Sarah eagerly accepted the offer. The girls, touched by her interest, happily agreed to be her guides. Muru suggested starting with her favorite spot, but Alice intervened, recommending they save it for last due to its distance. Jin realized that the girls might have mixed up their introductions regarding age and grade levels. Alice took the lead, guiding the group to her favorite spot near a canal. As they strolled past fields, Sarah inquired about Alice's fascination with canals. Alice revealed the presence of crayfish, snails, and fishes in the water. Surprising Sarah, Muru too was astonished by the diversity of species. Alice explained that watching the flowing water helped her calm down, a sentiment Jin found amusingly associated with the elderly. Noticing a frog, Jin and the girls playfully startled Sarah. Katori then took her turn to guide them, leading them to a residential area. Sarah, intrigued, questioned the choice of location. Katori, however, uncovered a group of clever cats lounging near a bench. Sarah, unfamiliar with cats, hesitantly petted one, blushing at their adorableness. Jin, amused, wondered if such creatures didn't exist in Sarah's world. A cat gazing at Sarah seemed to hit her with an adorable charm, prompting her to remember that cats could be kept as pets. Jin dismissed the idea of having a cat as it could be costly. The girls speculated about Jin emitting a cat-attracting pheromone. Eventually, Sarah bought drinks and apologized for spending an hour with the cats, which the girls understood as her first encounter with felines. Muru suggested enjoying the drinks in her secret base, located in a nearby woods. The base, resembling a normal living room with scattered toys, intrigued Sarah. Jin explained the concept of a secret base, passed down from one generation to the next for children to create their own hidden space. Sarah discovered writing on the wall, declaring Jin and Kaio's mission to defeat evil, prompting her giggles. Finding wooden sticks, Muru explained their use as pretend swords. Intrigued, Sarah showed her sword skills, leaving the girls impressed. Muru suggested a sword fight, and Sarah easily disarmed her. Jin, watching with a blank face, reluctantly joined but was quickly defeated by Sarah. The day ended with the fake couple observing the weather being hotter than usual, with Sarah monopolizing the electric fan. Jin observed the fan's defeat against the relentless heat, contemplating whether turning on the air conditioner would bring relief. However, he hesitated, adding a touch of indecision to the sweltering atmosphere of their day. Realizing he hadn't yet cleaned the ice shaver with the impending fieldwork in the afternoon, the looming risk of heat stroke weighed heavily on Jin's mind. Struck by a sudden idea, he declared it was time to unveil a secret weapon. Leaving Sarah puzzled, Jin retrieved an ice shaver, some ice, and syrups. Sarah's eyes lit up with sudden interest. Jin clarified that it was a tool for making shaved ice, a delightful summer treat. He explained the process involving crushing ice and adding syrup. Observing Sarah's enthusiastic reaction to the concept of ice, Jin wondered if they didn't have it in her world. Sarah asserted that ice could only be created in frigid areas or by mages. Curious about how the tool worked, Sarah listened as Jin explained with simple instructions and a demonstration. He then instructed Sarah to turn the handle. Nervously, she touched the handle and slowly turned it. The ice started making crunching sounds, and Sarah noticed it getting crushed cleanly. Jin told her to keep going until the bowl was filled. Sarah found the ice shaving process enjoyable, and Jin was pleased. After Sarah filled her bowl, it was Jin's turn. Observing Jin struggling, Sarah commented that he was slow and couldn't keep up with her in manual labor in the fields. Embarrassed, Jin wondered why Sarah brought it up. She then recalled how Jin had praised her otherworldly strength, but she explained that it was only used for war and bloodshed to protect lives on Earth. She noticed that people used their abilities to make life easy and convenient, believing that Earth was a wonderful place filled with happiness. Jin was surprised and admitted that Sarah might be right. They had just finished their shaved ice, and the couple headed to the porch to enjoy the scenery. They gave thanks for their food as usual. Sarah began scooping the shaved ice and was surprised by its coldness and sweetness. She claimed she could eat 10 bowls and started devouring the shaved ice until her head ached. Worried, she wondered if she would die, and Jin jokingly told her she had only 3 hours at most. Seeing Sarah panic, Jin clarified that he was just kidding and explained how brain freeze works, blaming it on Sarah's gluttony as she playfully tried to punch him. A cool breeze suddenly came, and Sarah remarked on how it had gotten cooler. Jin stared blankly at Sarah as the female knight noticed something on Jin's mouth. He claimed it was the color from the syrup. Sarah stuck out her tongue, wondering if hers also changed colors. It was a critical hit for Jin, and Sarah noticed how he turned red. Jin blamed it on the heat. Suddenly, 3 girls approached. Sarah was glad to see them, but Jin's moment of peace was over, and he decided to leave them with Sarah, offering to make some shaved ice. Jin refused Sarah's help and left her with the girls, pleased to see her socializing. Soon after, the girls returned to Jin's house with some school-related items. After enjoying shaved ice with syrup, Sarah and the girls playfully stuck out their tongues. Muru suggested that Jin join them, but he complained about the girls hanging out at his house every day. Muru voiced her concerns about her parents nagging her to study and do chores. Jin threatened to nag them too if they didn't work on their school homework. Muru argued that it was vacation and she wanted to be with Sarah. Jin acknowledged that Sarah drew attention and things had been noisy lately. Despite empathizing with homework, Jin worried when he learned Muru hadn't started hers yet. He advised her to follow Kater's example, but Katori confessed to being in the same boat, barely having done any homework. Muru proudly stated that both of them liked to finish homework at the last minute. Jin wondered if Alice was the same, but to everyone's surprise, the elementary schooler claimed to have already finished hers while her friends called her a traitor. Jin found Alice incredible and was granted permission to pat her head. Sarah smiled at the scene. Muru decided to take action, piquing Sarah's curiosity about their homework. The girls explained the various tasks for each subject, including an astronomical observation for science class. Since Sarah was unfamiliar with it, Jin explained that it involved observing the movement of stars in the night sky using telescopes. Sarah was amazed by the idea and was invited to join them later as the girls planned. Jin reminded them about getting permission from their parents to go to the mountains, as the observation required an unobstructed view. A heavy silence enveloped everyone as the girls realized their parents might say no. Feeling confident, Sarah asserted that she could act as their guardian. However, Jin reminded her that the girls' parents didn't know her yet. A heavy silence enveloped everyone. Muru then proposed having another responsible adult instead of their parents. The girls turned to Jin and Sarah, asking them to join. Jin, anticipating this, agreed and decided to bring Sito along. However, he advised them to first seek their parents' approval. The girls went home, got the necessary approvals, and returned. Sito later arrived in his car, driving them to a viewing platform he and Jin had visited before. Sarah expressed her excitement, and Jin couldn't help but smile. They reached the platform, and the girls marveled at the clear night sky. Sarah looked up at the night sky, marveling at its beauty. She couldn't help but express how amazing the sight was. The girls joined in, noting how clear it appeared without any artificial lights nearby. Jin then reminded them about their homework, attempting to spot constellations. The girls consulted a star map but were unsure where to look, so they turned to Jin for help. Sito, chipping in, offered assistance. Setting up a telescope his father used for hobbies, he focused it on the moon and encouraged Sarah to take a look. Amazed by the moon's clear surface, Sarah was captivated as the girls continued. Struggling with the telescope that Kaito had offered to handle, Jin found himself alone with Sarah while Kaito dealt with the intricate device. Sarah, still fascinated by the telescope's view, expressed her newfound appreciation for Earth's moon. Jin, contemplating whether it truly was astonishing to her, encouraged Sarah to try it herself. This led to a conversation about moons and stars, where Sarah revealed that her world had multiple moons with no names, leaving Jin slightly puzzled. As Sarah marveled at Earth's beautiful night sky, reminiscing about watching it with her comrades in the past, Jin sensed a connection between her and the celestial views. He couldn't help but wonder if Sarah harbored a desire to return to her home world, a topic she rarely spoke about. Despite finding human relationships troublesome, Jin felt a pang of sadness at the thought of her leaving, realizing that he had adapted to Sarah being an integral part of his life. Caught staring at Sarah, Jin noticed her blush intensely when suddenly Muru appeared, urging them to eat snacks and oblivious to the tension between them. Jin inquired about their homework, and Muru assured him it was done. The group enjoyed snacks together while gazing at the night sky. On the way back home, Jin asked Kaio to take the kids home as it was getting late. The girls bid a reluctant goodbye to Sarah, but Kaito reminded Jin about the upcoming summer festival and enthusiastically invited him to join. Sarah, curious about it, expressed her interest, and Kaito happily extended the invitation to her. Jin, observing Sarah's eagerness, reminded Kaito about his discomfort with crowds. Despite Jin's reservations, Kaito wanted to hang out like old times. Jin, conflicted, asked them to leave, and Kaio drove away. Walking back home, Sarah noticed the flashlight dimming, worrying that she had broken it. Jin explained it had run out of battery, and Sarah suggested using magic to create light. Intrigued but skeptical, Jin agreed, and Sarah, reciting some words, created orbs of bright light, leaving Jin deeply amazed. As the two continued their walk, Sarah suggested using magic to create light. Surprising and skeptical, Jin agreed. Sarah began to glow, reciting words, and within moments, orbs of bright light scattered around them, illuminating the entire area. Amazed, Jin had to acknowledge once again that Sarah was from another world. Curious, he wondered if the light was hot to touch, and Sarah assured him it wasn't. Jin hesitated but agreed to try holding it. Sarah took his hands, making it appear as if Jin was controlling the light, even though she remained in control. Suddenly, Sarah felt a jolt as she realized they were not alone. Jin informed her that someone was nearby, and it turned out to be Shigaru out for a night walk. Relieved that Shigaru had spotted them, Sarah pointed out that Jin's hand was tightly gripping hers. Jin quickly apologized, explaining he was trying to conceal her magic. But realizing the situation, Sarah understood it was to avoid being seen by Shiro. Feeling a bit awkward, Jin wondered if he had acted inappropriately. Overhearing Shiru's conversation with Minori about will-o-wisps, Jin and Sarah decided to leave the area. Later on, Shigaru shared his experience with the neighbors, and Kaho mentioned that the old man was now too scared to take the same road. Kaho showed up explaining she came for Sarah upon hearing about their summer festival plans. When the summer festival arrived, the group explored the lively atmosphere with numerous food stalls. Murray, Katori, and Alice joined, and Kaio ushered them in. Overhearing people talking about someone resembling a model, they discovered it was Sarah, who had just arrived. Excited, she approached but accidentally tripped. Jin quickly supported her, reminding her to be careful. Sarah admitted she wasn't used to wearing geta, and the girls complimented her on how great she looked in a yukata. Kaito, with a mischievous tone, teased Jin about his luck, and Jin assured him he'd find his partner soon. Kaito then mentioned hearing something from Kaho, leaving Jin shocked. Jin and Sarah, running late, joined the group, and the festival continued with excitement. Jin couldn't help but ponder the mysterious emotions that stirred within her in his presence. The girls, sensing a connection between them, invited them to join for a meal. Amidst the lively chatter, Jin's mind drifted to Kaio and Alice's earlier words, prompting a grateful smile. Acknowledging that it was all thanks to Sarah, he expressed his gratitude, claiming he should be the one thanking them. As the festivities continued, Sarah found herself relishing the delectable yakiso and wholeheartedly agreeing with the girls that festival food surpassed their usual fare. Strolling through the vibrant atmosphere, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something extraordinary lingered in the air. Driven by an insatiable curiosity, she decided to indulge in more festival delicacies. While wandering, Sarah's eyes caught something intriguing. Sharing her discovery with Jin, they ended up seated at